Fancy transitions. Awesome people arrive.
Right?
Friends, go ahead and feel free to introduce yourselves and what you do real quick, and then we'll dive into what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay, yeah, I can start. Hi, everyone. I'm Jim. I've been at Amazon now for about 12 years, and I'm a principal product manager with RDS, which is our relational database service.
I feel like I'm outnumbered by product managers 2-1 by now.
Yeah.
It's not
A
fair.
little more than that. Yeah.
Oh, no.
And this is Gopal. I'm from the Amazon Redshift. I'm a principal engineer here.
Very nice.
See, engineer, security person, 2 PMs. All right, so I'm
It's
not
1-1.
I'm still
You're safe.
We got to divide and conquer. All right, so what is all these terms? So real quick, for those that aren't familiar with the terms like ETL or NoSQL or RDS, just, you're sitting at the dinner table with your family and you're trying to explain what it is you do for work.
Okay, I think we can maybe start with what RDS is. So RDS stands for Relational Database Service, and what AWS is all about is making it easy for you to do things in the cloud. And what RDS is making it easy for you to actually, set up and manage a database in the cloud. Okay, and then I think then a few years later we introduced Amazon Redshift, and Redshift is about making it easy for you to set up and manage a data warehouse in the cloud. And I can talk about, how a database and a data warehouse is a little bit different, and we'll go over that in the demo. And then when we're talking about, the feature that we're working on, it's called zero-ETL. And what that means is zero, meaning we want to make it super easy and, super simplified. And then the ETL is an industry term, which stands for extract, transform, load. And it sounds complicated, but all it really means is the ability to get data out of one system into another. So what zero-ETL is about is making it super easy to get data out of, let's say, a database and into a data warehouse. So ETL is just an industry term for shipping data across systems.
Amazing. And you as a PM do what for RDS exactly? Can you give us a 30-second brief?
Sure, yeah. So we work on new engines. So for example, I worked on, we had a partnership with IBM to release IBM DB2 as a new database engine for use in the cloud. So that's a recent one. But these days, for the last year or so, I've just been focused on zero-ETL and making it easy to get data out of RDS databases so that customers can use it for other stuff.
That's awesome. That's a big rock. When you think about small, medium, large rocks, that's a really big rock.
Yeah. What we saw is that, you have RDS and you have other systems, but then we're kind of like the connective glue between those systems. And so it's a little bit different than working on just RDS alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I got to say, thank you for that wonderful explanation, because I just learned what actually ETL stands for. I thought it was like easy transformation language. Nope, totally wrong. And I will admit it. So, so we have this new feature, and it's, solving a problem. Why do customers want to use like data pipelines or ETL pipelines?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the general problem is you have data in one place in your business, and you need it, and you need to use that data in another system, right? And like I said, the way that customers do it today is they'll create what are called ETL pipelines. It's a lot of engineering. It's typically a lot of work and a lot of technical expertise to set these things up. And so the problem that we're solving is making it super simple so that someone can literally set it up with a few clicks, which is what I'll show in the demo today. Mm-hmm. So we're taking something that would have taken months, possibly, a year of planning and effort, and really reducing it down to something you can set up in a few minutes. And it's not just the setup part. The other problem that we're solving is once you actually have these data pipelines, getting data from one system to another up and running, there's also a lot of work just to make sure that they're working and still working. Like if there's bad data that comes through or if things change in your database, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So it's really that kind of ongoing maintenance and the ongoing operations. That's really where I think customers are super excited about the fact that the zero-ETL is simplified setup and simplified operations.
That's awesome. I think we need one more intro and then we should get into the demo. Gopal, do you want to introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background?
Yes, I think I'm Gopal and a principal engineer with Amazon Redshift. And I have been involved with zero-ETL from the start. And as of now, like we have made a lot of zero-ETLs available today in the market to start with our Amazon Aurora MySQL, Amazon Postgres, and the RDS, which Jim just explained. Then very soon, DynamoDB is also going to be available. It's already in the public preview. And yes, like there are some other integrations, zero integrations with OpenSearch as well, like DynamoDB, 2S3, and DocumentDB. All are going to be available very soon for customers to use.
That's awesome. So we're expanding this use case to all sorts of different entry points, all sorts of different landing points. And the point is, how can we, and this is something I feel like I say this every episode, AWS is constantly looking for how can we make customers' lives easier and, see what our customers are doing and simplify it and give them either more managed option or a simplified fault tolerant type option. And I think this really fits that bill where you guys are working to just make the processes simpler for something we see customers are doing in between all sorts of different beginning and endpoints. And
yes, I mean, we don't want customers to be focusing anymore on creating these pipelines because AWS is taking care of them, and then they can really focus on the real business use case, which they want to solve.
So would it say it's fair to say that these pipelines also scale based on how much data is getting thrown at it?
Yeah, we designed it to support, high scale, high throughput workloads. So even if you have, let's say, a database that's supporting one of your, key business applications, and there's a lot of data that's being, written to that database, we make sure that that data gets replicated into, the right place. In this case, we'll talk about how it gets replicated into Redshift.
Fancy.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, which is why I'm kind of excited to show the demo. It's like we can talk about zero-ETL, and then once you see it, like, oh, okay, well, why isn't it that simple all the time? Yeah.
I think that's the perfect transition. Can we dive into this demo? I want to see.
But first, we need to do the demo dance.
Okay.
Are you going to do it?
10 out of 10 times that we have not done the demo dance, the demo goes, so.
What dance?
All right.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so I do have I have a screen sharing here.
Yep.
So in this demo, I'm going to talk about kind of 3 systems that we're going to be showing. One is RDS for MySQL, which is our source database. So you can think of this as your business, you have an e-commerce application, you have some other application that's writing data to a database. You would use, RDS, for example. The second system is Redshift. This is, the team that Gopal's on. And what Redshift is a data warehouse. And so you have a bunch of databases, and a business will have dozens or possibly hundreds of these databases. And then typically you're going to ship that data into a data warehouse where it can all be combined and aggregated and analyzed. So that's kind of the power of a data warehouse, is it can analyze petabytes of data, very with high performance and pretty cost effectively. And then once your data is in the data warehouse, in order for people to actually run reports and actually make business decisions off of it, they'll usually set up something like, in this case, AWS QuickSight is just a dashboard tool. So in this demo, I'll show how we have a QuickSight dashboard that connects to a Redshift data warehouse in order to show kind of a business report. But the key of this is really about zero-ETL integration. So we're going to put data in. We're actually going to create a database over here, right? Create tables in the database, and then use zero-ETL integration in order to automatically replicate that data and those changes into Redshift. And then once it's there, then we'll show that, it shows up in QuickSight. But this process right here, this first arrow is where, what I was mentioning, it usually takes months, sometimes, a year or so for a very technical team to actually implement and do it reliably and at scale. This is what we're going to literally be showing in a few minutes there. Okay, so that's a lot of introduction. And in order to actually load the tables and create the the data in here. This is pretty standard for, like a database administrator to do. They'll actually define the tables. So this is just I've already pre-written these scripts. So this is just going to create 20 different tables in that database. Then we're going to use SQL, which is kind of the language to work with databases, to actually insert a whole bunch of sample data in there. Okay. And then I have a bonus, which is we're going to load additional records, and I'll show that as part of the demo. Okay, so that's kind of the setup. And so I want to kind of work backwards from, what is the payoff, and what we're trying to do here is there's this order dashboard, which I created. So this is a QuickSight, dashboard that's connected to Redshift. And right now, if I were to refresh it, you can see that it's broken. Okay.
Or you don't have any orders coming in.
Yeah, and it actually says it can't even find the table. So right now, if we go to Redshift, we'll see that there are no tables in Redshift. So it's looking for inside this, I made a little database called Twitch demo in Redshift. It's looking under here, zero-ETL schema, and you can see there's 0 tables. Mm-hmm. So the goal here is, let's actually get the data into Redshift. And so I'm going to create the data in my actual original source database and start loading data into it, and then we'll just see it automatically flow into Redshift. So let's do that. Okay. So let me Okay, so I have I'm just going to use a command line here. So this is actually a command line into my MySQL database, and I'm going to I'm going to create the tables. Okay, and so this is running that script that I showed you before, where it creates the 20 different tables. Let's go into Redshift, and let's refresh. And you kind of see, let's see if it shows up. And you see, okay, 10 of the tables have come through. So it typically takes about 12 to 15 seconds for it to be replicated. But what's neat is it's doing it in real time, or near real time. And you can see, okay, so now all 20 tables are over. We haven't loaded sample data yet. We'll just do a quick check here in the QuickSight dashboard. And you can see now it actually shows up, the error went away. It found the table, but says no data. And we can verify that if you go into Redshift, if you run a query just to find all the rows for all the orders, you can see that we have right now 0 orders. Okay, so we have no data in the tables, but we've created those 20 different tables, and you can kind of see these are the tables that we defined in that script. They made it over to Redshift, and here's the orders table. And then as we're replicating the database tables from the RDS database into Redshift, these are 2 different systems, and they support different features. And part of what zero-ETL does is we'll translate from one system to another. So Redshift might have different data types. I'll give an example. So in MySQL, you might have data that's stored as what's called like a date time field, and in Redshift we'll translate that into a timestamp field, for example, right? So we'll do all the automatic translation between these 2 systems, so that so that's pretty much seamless for customers. Okay, so I've so far have created the tables. So let's actually just load up let's just load up the data source. Let's load data. This is that script that loads whatever the records are. Okay, and we can jump straight to QuickSight. Let's see what it pulls from Redshift.
While you're refreshing that, I don't think the chat understands how you just achieved the impossible by not mistyping live during a demo.
Truly.
That is like a badge of honor for doing a live demo on a live stream. So congratulations.
I just hope that's not premature. I still have a few minutes to mess up.
Well, now that I mentioned it, it's just going to probably tank now. But hey,
that's right.
We made it this far. That's all that matters.
So you saw I refreshed it. It didn't pick it up yet. Like I said, it takes about 12 to 15 seconds. And here we go. So here's the 48 orders in that sample.
Honestly, this is so rewarding to see like this the step-by-step updates.
Yes. So it's pretty cool, right? So we put data in an actual, database that, a business was using for one of their applications. In this case, like e-commerce application, we automatically got the data into the data warehouse where it can now be analyzed alongside all the other data from other databases in that business. Okay. And then as a little bonus, I thought it would be kind of fun to just do one more, which is load 400 more orders. Okay. So you kind of see it loading into MySQL. It'll show up in Redshift, but it's even easier just to check here. So we'll refresh.
And while that's refreshing, for those that are wondering what it is that we're actually looking at, QuickSight is a way to visualize data and create dashboards and fancy widgets like this that we're looking at.
That's right. Yeah. So you create these dashboards and then you just kind of connect it to, in this case, we're connecting it to our Redshift data warehouse where all of that data is being analyzed and stored. So you can kind of see I just added 400 new orders. And so data that would have been locked up inside of, the original RDS database because it wasn't being analyzed, we can quickly get it to a place called Redshift where it can be analyzed. And then we can use QuickSight to, make it easy for someone who's not technical to understand, make business decisions. And then I want to spend just maybe 2 minutes here. So I did the demo of we have a zero-ETL integration. It was already working. I wanted to show how easy it is to actually set this up.
Yes, I can give you 4 minutes.
Oh, 4 minutes. Okay, perfect. Yeah. What you do is if you're using RDS, so let's say you're using the AWS management console to, manage RDS, your databases and your other resources in the cloud. On RDS here, on the left-hand menu, you can see we added a new item here called zero-ETL integrations. So if you click on that, it gives you a little intro and all that. And all you have to do is create zero-ETL integration. Okay. And there's really 3 steps. Step 1 is we create a name for it. So I'll just say Twitch demo 2. Okay. And you can give an optional description. Okay. Step 2 is we have to select what's the source. Where are we pulling that data from? And in this case, I'm going to just browse. And when you browse, it'll filter out and only show you ones databases that we support. And the requirement for your MySQL databases, which is a particular type of database engine, is that you support version 8.0 or above. Okay, so we filter that out. And in this case, I have one database that matches that. So you pick your source. And then you also have an option, if you want, you can also customize and add filters. So you can say, include these tables, but not exclude these other tables. An example of that might be, include my orders information, but don't include the password table, right? Don't include the private information, or don't include these system tables. So you get to choose what data you really want to pull over from your original source database into the data warehouse.
And also, I think it's very easy once you have created the integration. Like if in future you want to add the newer tables or exclude some existing tables, you can do the modify of the
that's
tables.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Very sleek.
Yeah. And what would be the next step after that?
So step 3 then is, we chose the source, where we're pulling it from. And then now it's like, where are you going to put it into? And today we support, Redshift as a target. We're also working on additional targets as well. So there's a lot of exciting news here that we're hoping to be able to share very soon. But for now, you can pick a Redshift data warehouse, and it can either be in the same AWS account or even in a different AWS account. What we find is in a typical business, you might have, one team, the business team using one AWS account, and then the actual data analytics team using a different AWS account. But you browse here, select your target.
And then you just click on next, and you could add tags and encryption, which is pretty self-explanatory.
Yep.
And
that's it. And that's it. Then when you click on that, it does take about 35 minutes for us to do that initial setup and create, bootstrap all the systems. But the thing that, for someone who's been working in this space, the reason why customers appreciate it is just this is like night and day difference from compared to like what you would do if you didn't have this feature, because you would literally be spending months trying to write all that software. To
really makes such a big impact. That's amazing. Yeah. We have overstayed our welcome.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
But where can people find more information on this if they are excited?
Yeah, just search for AWS zero-ETL, and you can find the zero-ETL integrations that we support. Go to the RDS documentation, and we have blogs, and we can provide it to anybody who's asking or can't find.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
This was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon.